Three, two, one. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is, I fucked this up. I'm not even awake yet. Okay, hold on. Three, two, one. God, I still don't even have it right in my head. Hold on.
He's worried about us.
Okay, hold on. Because I spent too much time thinking about the other shit. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1.
On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, collectible guns during COVID, the Teflon Don, food liquors, and how to make Tiger King even better.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 170 of the John 1911 podcast. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing so far today?
Good. Very good. Happy Easter.
That's right. Today is Easter. So
is today Easter or is tomorrow Easter?
It's
today?
Sunday. Yeah, today you've lost track of days, which is an unusual. Well, because you're always a day off because you work thirds. You never like to you Sunday is. I guess Sunday. Yeah, to you Sunday night would be Monday. So So anyway, we apologize.
I already got the grandkids crying.
Oh, okay.
I told them I shot the Easter bunny and we're having Hassenpfeffer.
Oh, you did not.
So now everybody's mad at me.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's better than pulling two rabbits out from hunting season and grilling them.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So there has been a lot going on besides me being a terrible Catholic. It's been busy around here at the Armory, and it's just, I guess, been busy around the world. I just woke up this morning, Danny, and saw that Disney is saying they are laying off, or they're furloughing. That's a word you never used to hear. They are furloughing 43,000 employees, all their employees.
Wow.
Which,
man, that's crazy because like Disney doesn't shut down for crap.
Well, right now they are. I mean, if anything, they probably have two issues. They probably have three issues. One, nobody's going to show up. Two, if somebody does show up and they get sick, they're just going to sue them. And then, three, how many of their employees just won't even show up to work? It's just like I mean, I will say this, like Trump's out talking about how he's going to, restart the economy and all that. And I think this is one of those times when I truly do believe that a businessman like Trump is probably going to do a better job at starting things back up than say like, I don't know, like John Kerry or Hillary Clinton or, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, like I noticed like with Trump, it seems like when he hears or he's aware of things that help business, it seems to be his wheelhouse. But like if he gets a suggestion, he seems to move on it very quickly. Like I guess now he's pushing to allow businesses to write off 100% of restaurant. Meals like when they they entertain people at restaurants like they used to do back in the old days. Free Danny won't know this, but Freeze will. I think now you can write 50% off. But do you remember there was a restaurant in Cincinnati called the Masonette? Do you remember that? Restaurant?
Yeah. It was like our only what is it? 4-star, 5-star? What's the highest star rating?
5-star, and it was
that was a 5-star restaurant. Yeah.
5-star restaurant, and true. I guess I think it may have been the longest running 5-star mobile 5-star restaurant in the world or in the U.S. And truly a very hoity-toity French type restaurant, like very, very hoity-toity. It was right down there by Procter & Gamble headquarters, and it is closed. And I think the main way that it survived, and nobody really would admit this, was the business community. They would bring, if they were trying to wheel and deal, where they were bringing people in or they were trying to impress people, they would have dinners at this super fancy restaurant, like world class fancy restaurant, and that kind of artificially, I'm going somewhere with this, that artificially propped up their business. And once the write-offs, kind of that kind of stuff went away, and then some of the tastes, people don't really want to go to that kind of dining. It eventually it had to close. It held on for a number of years, but it was a restaurant that people would talk about, but really didn't go to, and it was because of this same tax deduction that Trump is talking about. And I just wonder if we'll see that again, that kind of stuff again.
Well, when you and I go to lunch, does that mean you're going to browbeat me out of the receipt?
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Danny, you're not paying for the Capitol Grill. Don't worry about it. I mean, I will be paying for it, so it'll be fine.
That's because of the tax deduction.
Hey, you know what? America's a great country. You write off steaks and guns. I mean, that's the recipe for empire right there, baby. I mean,
But
well,
it makes sense if you're going to jumpstart the economy to put money back into the economy, and then these businesses, with entertaining and schmoozing and all the other stuff, can get a write-off for it. It is a domino effect.
It is a way to help restaurants very quickly. It's not like it takes it a long time. I mean, again, the business community has to be doing stuff, but I guess you kind of wonder. I mean, I don't want to spend the John 911 podcast talking about tax policy, but the average listener of this podcast does not really appreciate payroll taxes. So, they look at they look at their tax bracket. Most people are like, I'm in this tax bracket with the federal government, or I'm in that tax bracket. And then they're like, well, there's my federal taxes and my state taxes and my local taxes, and you wrap all those together, and that's what my tax rate is. And it's like, well, that's true, but not, because there are all these hidden taxes that you pay that really are, the average worker, does not realize that he or she pays, because it's coming right off the top, off of your payroll taxes. It come off of your paycheck, and then it's matched by your employer. And it's this, it's a way for the federal government to take money from stupid people and have them not realize that it's happening. And I wonder if we could be really facing a big change, because there's been a big cry to suspend payroll taxes for a while, like during this crisis, and and kind of like when the government passes a law, you can never, once the government does something, you'll never get that unwound. Once you start, people see what their paychecks could really be like. It's like what their insurance really costs, what their paychecks really look like, what stuff really is. And, you wonder if you can undo that. I think that scares the Democrats to death. They hate that.
Well, and it should. I mean, it really should.
Speaking of scaring Democrats to death, Danny, you were jumping up and down and throwing confetti in the air. Bernie's out of the race.
Yes, it's but there's something going on with that whole thing. He did not outright endorse Biden. I think, and Bernie did say that he's going to keep his delegates.
Oh, everybody. Now, it's not unusual. Everybody keeps their delegates, because you show up at a convention, which I don't know if that's going to happen, then you wheel and deal.
Yes, it is a wheel and deal. But with the super delegates, that's a whole different can of beans. And which way are they going to go? I think it is going to be a contested nomination somehow. And you'll probably think I'm off the wall, but I think Bernie's stepping down. I think Biden will step down, and they're going to promote the pretty boy Cuomo. That's my guess.
I don't know about that.
Go on, Freeze.
I don't see how Cuomo. I don't see how Cuomo can carry the Democrats across the country. I don't see it.
But he's the anointed one at this moment.
Well, you know what? I look at it like this. Let's step back from the Cuomo headline for a minute, and let's just think about what we've dealt with here. The Democrats know they're fucked. They know they're so fucked because here's the problem. Like how quickly we all forget. You know, the Democrats were going to it was going to be you know, we got to get Bloomberg in there. Well, it's got to be Bloomberg, and then it's got to be Warren, and or maybe it's Warren first, but you know, anybody, but it's almost anybody but Biden. And then once anybody even has a pulse, they're like, we got to get that. You know, Bob from accounting's got to be the one because because Biden can't beat Trump. And it's, you know, at what point, you know, Danny has a really interesting point. Normally, you couldn't get away with giving the nomination to Cuomo. Cuomo absolutely wants to be president. He's been planning on running for president. He wasn't really planning on doing it now, but sometimes history calls, and maybe he will accept the call. But the other thing is, if let's pretend we're Cuomo Democrats for a minute. If Cuomo is smart and he really wants to be president, he would probably not run now because he's not prepared. There's no ground game. There's no campaign. He's still trying to deal with this. They're going to be dealing with this in the fall, and we still don't know how the COVID-19 thing is going to be, how history is going to write this. Was this a win or a loss? Did we beat it or was it a fuck up? You know, is COVID-19 going to be America is better than everybody, or is COVID-19 going to be like 9/11? We missed all this stupid shit and it's everybody else's fault. And so Cuomo, if he's smart, will probably not run in 2020. He'll probably run in 2024. But it's interesting that the Democrats are so desperate that they're trying to peddle that.
Well,
but how do they? Oh, well, hold on. How do they give him the delegates? He doesn't have a delegate.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't want
the Democrats just kind of make up their own rules anyway.
Right. And I don't know what the rules or the parameters are of the convention. You know, it just, did you notice one thing? Cuomo gets as much airtime as Trump every day.
I haven't noticed that.
Oh, Freeze has the commie cough. Yeah. Well, there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, New York is like got the most whatever cases, but two, I mean, and this is where like you got to remember Fox and ABC, NBC, CBS, all these assholes, their home bases are in the New York media markets, and so you know, did you ever notice? Like, remember, there's like I think he's still in Congress. There's a Republican congressman from New York, probably upstate New York, named what's his name? Something King. And he would they would have him on Fox nonstop. And I just got so sick and tired of seeing this asshole. It's like, you do not represent the Republicans out here in the Midwest. You do not represent the Republicans in the South. The only reason you're on goddamn television is because you live up there and they're like, we need a Republican to be on TV. So Congressman King, let's get your ass in here. And it was like, it's lazy bullshit. And, you know, I mean, I do notice it's interesting with Cuomo and Trump. The Democrats, look, Freeze, you remember this. All we would hear for years, it's been so many weeks since the president has had a press conference. Where is he hiding? What's going on? He's so many days, so many weeks. There's been no press conference. Why no press conference from the president? President now is like, he is so accessible. Like now they're complaining that he's you know, he's on TV too much. Oh my God, he's on TV too much. We gotta stop covering
he's politicking.
And then here's the other thing. Trump, he starts talking about hydroxychloroquine. Please God, I hope I said that right. They're like, he can't talk about that. But Cuomo talks about hydroxychloroquine. They're like, whoa, Cuomo, yeah, hydroxychloroquine. It's bizarre.
Just drink some tonic water. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, it has to fit. It has to fit the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, but see, no one's telling anyone to drink the tonic water, though.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but we're not gonna do that. So, well, okay. What about the? Did you hear about the sexual assault thing against Biden?
No.
Which one? I mean, come on, Creepy Joe.
There is a staffer that used to work for Biden, and the media is not carrying it. She basically claims that. I mean, she's basically claiming that that Joe Biden, for lack of a better phrase, grabbed her by the pussy, and then like stuck his tongue down her throat, and then when it was over, he looked at her, and he goes, "Come on, man, I heard you liked it." And you can see him saying that.
You can, but see, my question is, was she good looking?
I don't know.
Well,
wow. No, geez, Marky, you had something I didn't know about on politics.
Well, the media won't carry it. They're not. She's apparently. I mean, again, it sucks. It's like this happened 10 years ago. I don't even know when this happened. And there might be, but it's just like whole thing just sucks ass. It's just like with Trump, and it's just like the DUI with Bush at the last minute. It's like I'm just like, come on. I mean, okay, maybe Creepy Joe is creeping around, but it's like, okay, America's not really into that mode of thought right now. Does anybody care who Joe Biden porks?
No, not really. But this is an interesting point of view. When Joe Biden was running as Barack Obama's,
excuse me,
did we ever hear about Creepy Joe creeping on women? I don't remember hearing anything of it. Not like now.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. When Barack Obama was president, we didn't hear dick about Joe Biden's son whoring around with coke and coke at these strip clubs in D.C. and everybody knew it, but apparently you and me and Danny.
Yeah.
It's like this was like so common, such common knowledge.
But it didn't fit the mainstream media's agenda to push it. Because that's why it is pretty much was I should say covered up as much with his dealings with Ukraine and China and all the other things. None of it came out because it wasn't anti-Trump.
Yeah. Biden is so fucked on China.
Oh yeah.
Biden is so fucked on China. It's just like, when this, I am so glad that we have this podcast, and I'm so glad that we have the website, because I had said, and I'm so glad that I said it publicly, that there's going to come a day when you're going to look at something that says made in China on it, and it's going to be like, might as well say made in Nazi Germany. And I think we might, I don't know, but we may be looking at that moment. And Joe Biden out there running his suck, talking about how, oh, come on, man. China's not an enemy. They're good people. They're not the problem. And then like his son and all this bullshit. The only thing Donald Trump ever did with China was he had some ties made there. And, they tried to run him down on it. He was like, well, I couldn't fucking get ties made here, so I had to get them made there. And we still I would have had them made here if I could, but China's fucking us. And it's like, Donald Trump, this shit just bounces off him. Like, it's amazing.
Well, some might call him the Teflon Don.
Some might call him.
Well, no, actually, Marky has a very good point, because the other day when Bernie dropped, it was the same day as Trump was announcing the flattening of the curve of this virus spiking. Hardly any news about that. The news was, besides Bernie dropping, that Biden says he now wants to forgive all the student loans, a.k.a. Bernie.
Yeah, that's just like these bullshit giveaways. But you know what? If you're a Democrat, listen to me talk right now, and I was talking about revamping the payroll taxes. There's a Democrat out there going, God damn it, Marky, all these bullshit giveaways. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess.
It has to fit the agenda.
Poor Joe Biden. Hey, look, in political head of state news, which kind of relates to this morning I'm seeing that Boris Johnson is out of the hospital, which is good. And Boris Johnson is not as old as everyone we were talking about so far. But how does Joe Biden campaign? How does realistically, Donald Trump is what, 72, 73 maybe?
Yeah, I think
but Joe Biden, however old Joe Biden is, if Joe Biden is 70, I don't know what he is, he's an old 70. You know what I mean? How does Joe Biden conduct a campaign going forward?
How does he debate?
Well, they can debate the same way you and I are having a podcast. I don't know how Trump would do. I think Trump likes. This hurts Trump too. Trump is like a dude that likes the crowd. Trump is a guy that most of his rallies, he doesn't actually read a speech. I think he's probably has some prepared thoughts, but he just gets up there and wings it. He's kind of like Don Rickles. He just shows up there and just starts tearing it up at people. No one knows who Don Rickles is, but
but we're old.
Yeah, we're old.
No, you're not. Well, did you also see how the mainstream media is going after the state of Arkansas? Arkansas does not have a stay-at-home order, but yet they have some of the lowest virus cases in the United States. Well, the mainstream media is trying to crucify the state of Arkansas, which has a Republican governor, Asa Hutchinson, for not having to stay at home. Well, Arkansas basically said, we don't follow your mainstream bullshit, and we're doing fine without it.
I heard, I spent most of yesterday on the range and dealing with range issues. And I also didn't know that Asa Hutchinson was the governor of Arkansas currently. But I heard some blurb that I guess because of something the president did last night that now all 50 states and U.S. territories are under a, quote, state of emergency. Is that true?
I have not heard that whatsoever.
I believe that that happened last night before I went to bed. So, I think the curve is bending in here. I don't know. Something in Ohio may be changed, but I guess Michigan's just getting ready to explode. I know Indiana just within the past probably week or so has gotten kind of cuckoo with they've gotten real aggressive with stuff. It's gotten so bad. Freeze is what do you freeze? What do you call it? Critical employee or something.
Essential.
Just like a gun. Yeah. Essential employee.
Essential.
Yeah. So what I've had to do is I've had some. They're not really enforcing a lot of stuff. It depends, as long as you use common sense. But I had to have phone calls with a couple sheriff's offices about some stuff. It's like, hey, we're going to be doing this. We got to do this. We're going to be moving around, crossing these lines. Hey, is it? We need to coordinate here, and I think, and we did that, and I think ultimately it wasn't really necessary, but I don't know.
Better safe than sorry, though.
Yeah, because we don't need to. Oh my God, you pull my truck.
Well, everyone, Marky, now with everybody at the range, are you making them wear Marky masks?
Marky masks. We have not had. The last big group scheduled to come out to the range was one of the SWAT teams, and that's when I got sick, and so they decided to cancel it, and then shortly thereafter, their command staff decided that they were canceling all training because they're trying to keep their officers from getting sick. Because they don't want what PDs are trying not to do is they don't want all the cops to get sick at the same time. They want to keep people segregated because they know that the cops and the firefighters are going to get sick, but they're trying to manage it so they kind of like roll through. Like if Bob over there in beat 4 gets it, well, Bob wasn't at he wasn't sitting in a room with like 8 other cops. So like now those cops are going to get it. So like they're putting in systems in place. They're staying away from people. They're only making kind of important runs. And like if let's say Bob does get sick, they'll not only will they take Bob out of service, they'll take his car out of service. They'll sanitize the car. They're doing all this stuff. So that's really impacted training. But it wasn't a week later, a different county sheriff's office, they showed up at the range because they needed to shoot qualification. And their jurisdiction at that moment, because it's a completely different state, had not suspended any trainings, and they have to shoot quals to maintain their police status. So but they were the last group, and that's been about 2 weeks probably since they were actually using the range. So I've basically been the only one using the range.
Yeah, because I'm not going out to the range just because because I'm an essential person out there. I'm exposed to the public, and I don't want to potentially, not that I have it, but I don't want to potentially drag anything out to the range and infect anyone else. So I haven't been out to the range since all this started.
Yeah, you're theoretically Typhoid Mary. Reality is you will get it.
Well, I've been called patient 0 on more than one occasion.
Yes, yeah. So, there's a good chance, because we even talked about this. I got very sick, but I tend to get the flu very bad anyway. So we thought maybe it was the COVID. You got very sick like the week before. So we don't know if we had the flu or whether we've already even had this.
It's possible. I had all the symptoms, but it's not, but then again, when I get the flu, I kind of have these symptoms anyway, because, the flu usually kicks my ass for a solid week, and that's not anything new. It's always been that way. And it was this way this time. But the thing is, I don't know what it was. I wasn't tested. I called my doctor and he's like, stay home, take this.
Yeah, there were no tests to take, which is fine. But did you hear what they did in Kentucky? They actually had people who were diagnosed with the commie cough. They were putting ankle monitors on them.
Ooh,
kind of like people that are on,
so they wouldn't go out in public, or so they could follow them, basically.
So they basically, they're not allowed to leave their house or to go. Yeah, that's basically what they did. I don't know how many they actually did it to, but there is a historical precedent for that. What was it?
I am not unused to ankle monitors.
No, you're not. But there was a story that came out of China not that long ago where they were. You saw them building a barricade and basically locking people in their house or into their apartment. Like they built this barricade under the door because these people were sick and they kept leaving. And they were like, we are sick and tired of your coughing ass walking around Shenzhen. And so they literally just bunkered them in. And, we've done that in the West as well. Like the most famous case is like Typhoid Mary,
Yeah.
The idea being if, there's a person who is asymptomatic and they're carrying typhus and they're walking around and, coughing it everywhere and they know you're the person, there is a precedent under common law to like grab that person and put them under, some kind of community control. And an ankle monitor seems pretty humane, for somebody that's like not someone who's deliberately being an asshole. And it's interesting. Like you see the news, Dan, both of you guys, have you noticed the amount of people that are like going out and like doing fake coughs and like licking food and
yeah, that's crazy.
And are those the crazy people that should be in, are those crazy people that should be in the, in the mental health system, or is that just normal people who are reacting bizarrely because they can't handle the stress of the situation?
There was a case I heard, I don't know, maybe a week or so ago about this kid. I think he was maybe 19, 20. He was a young guy. And he was in, I think it was a Kroger store in the produce area, coughing on the produce, thinking it's funny, and he's filming it and shit. Well, it took him like next to no time to find him and hook his ass up. And Kroger's had to like trash, I think it was like $10,000 or $12,000 worth of produce because, you know, you can't sell it now. And they send his ass to jail. And I don't know what he'll end up getting out of it because I haven't heard. But the thing is, I don't think that guy's crazy. I think he's just a young kid who's stupid.
Freeze, I believe they charged him with domestic terrorism.
Okay.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, you know what? That might be.
Well, how do you
harsh,
how do you destroy $12,000 of produce and not catch a felony?
Exactly.
How do you destroy $12,000 worth of anything or $30,000 and have it not be a felony? It's a felony. It's a felony when it's normal.
Yeah. If you break into a car dealership and steal a car, it's a felony because it definitely falls. What's a felony these days? $500, $1,000, something like that.
I think it depends on the item as well. But
yeah,
typically
it's. I mean, you know, the thing is, he destroyed thousands of dollars worth of produce, which was probably fine. But again, you can't take that chance.
Well,
you know,
you want to talk about something crazy? Some of these states, how about them letting the prisoners out? And some of these prisoners are hardcore felons. And you speak about ankle monitors; they don't have any. They, on their honor system, will report to their whatever that parole guy is.
Their PO.
Yep.
I've already heard one case where they released a felon and he's already killed somebody.
I heard that too.
I don't remember what state or where it was, but it's just like, really? Who thought of that? Because look, and I know this is not going to be politically correct, but look, these people were in prison for a reason. You know what? If a few of them die of the COVID-19, I'm actually fucking okay with that. I would rather have them in prison with it than out in the public.
I mean, look, does the world freak out when a bunch of prisoners come down with hepatitis?
No. What about the AIDS rate in prison?
Freeze, that also leads it.
Well, hepatitis rate is pretty high.
Yeah.
That hepatitis rate is I wouldn't say it's high. I would say you work at a jail, you gotta watch the Hep C.
Mm-hmm. You do.
And it's like, you know,
what I was going to say is that leads into with these moron governors letting prisoners out or this or that. Why do you think the gun sales have escalated the way they have?
Well, I don't know if that's the reason, the escalation. I'm thinking people are looking for the zombie apocalypse. And if this thing goes really sideways and 1 million people freaking die of it and people start panicking and wanting to loot, that's why I think they're buying guns. Now, I think that's an extreme scenario, but I also think it's an excellent opportunity to buy some used firearms when this shit blows over.
We are cleaning house.
Yeah, we are.
I'll tell you, like right now, because I have to keep my to-buy list hidden because I don't want to be competing against myself. But, we had some extra Glock pistols around here, like in particular Glock 19s because they're too small for my hand, and some other ones, and those are gone. And we have picked up a Benelli pistol, a H&K pistol. These are old collectible guns. I got a good deal on a Jap Type 38. Is that what you call it, Freeze?
Yeah, it's a Type 38.
A Type 38, and there's a French pistol that is that's coming in.
That's nice. I'm looking forward to that.
And then there's another one that we're trying to make a run at because what's happening is, number one, people are not buying collectible stuff. They're selling, like I'm seeing motorcycles for sale now on people's yards and nice lawnmowers. Nobody's buying I mean, if you have, it depends on your situation, but there are a lot of people who have lost their job, and the first thing that they're going to sell is going to be their collectible gun or their toy. They're going to take the toy. Yes, that's the best way to put it. They're going to sell their toys. And, I'm not competing against too many people right now on some collectible stuff that we've been wanting for years. And we're doing really
well, the
good.
KFrames looking good for Danny boy.
Well, here's the thing. To be honest with you, no, those are the desirable guns. They're shootable. They're self-defense. I mean, they're modern. They've got take modern ammo. They're not expensive, and the people buy those. I mean, the sales of those go up.
But
right now,
when this is over and people start unloading the K-frames that they bought, that's when you come in and score.
Well, the K-frame is kind of the K-frame Smith Police trade-in guns is kind of its own separate thing, because the reality is it's kind of like Corvette. They made so many of them. It's like none of them are valuable unless it says Wyatt Earp on the side of it or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they've made so many of those guns every year for so many years. It's not like they're rare.
Yeah.
The only reason they become expensive is if they've got a particular marking on the side of them.
That is true, but when this is over and people start getting rid of the guns they bought, that's when Danny can score.
Right.
Yeah. Well, hold on. That actually brings up a good point. So actually, I wanted to ask you about this, Danny, because you live in Illinois,
Correct.
right? So, what are your limitations on a K-frame gun from us?
It has to, by law, be shipped to an FFL dealer, and only then can I get it.
Well, that's normal anybody, but there's no restricted list, or like you got to get a special license for the gun.
No,
okay.
No. The basic restrictions they have is mag capacity.
So what you're saying is if you were having lunch at the Capitol Grill and you went back to your car and there happened to be a K-frame under the passenger seat, that would be okay?
If the serial number was ground off, yes.
Great.
No, it has to follow the basic FFL laws. It has to be shipped to an FFL person. I pay the FFL his fee, and then I get it.
That's normal. So, but I just, so by the way, Freeze, I have had such a good relationship with the ATF. Like I've got the one agent's personal number. They'll call me in the evenings. It's great. Thank you for ruining that. So yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Hey, I was just spitballing and throwing it out there.
We know that we're all kidding. Of course, we have to follow the laws. But basically, to your question, the only restriction is, but Illinois now has in place that you could only get it after a 7-day wait. So if it shipped there on Sunday, I couldn't get it till a week later.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, they got a
7-day wait.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, when they passed the Brady Bill for the waiting period, it was just to be in lieu of a NICS check.
Yeah.
Remember it was the alternative. It was because we don't have the computer systems or the we don't have the automation or the data and so we're going to do a waiting period. But once we get this in place, you can do an instant background check. Oh, never mind. Liars.
Well, actually, in the city of Cincinnati, I don't know if it's still in effect, but if you'll notice, there are no gun stores inside the city limits. And that's because years and years ago, they passed I think it was either 3 or a 7-day waiting period to buy firearms. So all the gun stores moved outside of the incorporated city limits. Yeah,
they passed. I don't think it ever held though, because I even had some issues with them, and I got a copy. It was like we had a Mossberg shotgun, and they had a capacity limit or no extended. They called them extended magazines, or you couldn't. There was a couple weird things, but that got wiped out when Ohio because that got challenged, and the state of Ohio basically said you cannot pass any laws in your local jurisdiction that are more restrictive than the state law. So fuck you.
Yeah.
And but there are FFL licenses in the city limits, but they're not really known to the public. They're not public gun stores, but there are licenses in the city limits.
Yeah, that is correct. But there's no shingles hanging out.
Well,
there's no gun store as the average person listening.
All right, talking about guns.
Exactly.
Talking about gun stores. Did you see where they could have drive-throughs now?
You know what? I was at my local FFL yesterday, and I was like, "Hey, can we just do the drive-through thing?" He was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." He's like, "Come on in," and I was like, "Oh man!" So he literally was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Come on in." So it's like, fine.
Well, and also, you guys are familiar with the Hughes Amendment, correct?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, don't be surprised if they try to stick something in the stimulus phase 4 thing comparable to that.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to look. I've been hearing grumblings on the internet from some gun people saying that, they're trying to pass gun control, and I'm certainly the Democrats will try. And look, I'm just being honest here. Let's say they even get it through. I mean, I don't know. They'll probably get it to Trump, and Trump will be like, "I'm not going to sign this." But let's just say like this passes. Here's the problem. Nothing right now is normal, and they can pass whatever they want right now if they think they can get away with it. If they think, people have been scared shitless. There's all these new gun people out there, like all these people that are not even into like having guns have now bought guns and they realize they can't get them. Like they have to wait 7 days and all this shit. And it's like, I mean, if you just want to have yourself a nice old civil war, you just go right ahead. You pass whatever the fuck you want, bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, this is not real. Nothing is normal. And if Nancy Pelosi is so dumb that she thinks she can do this right now and actually have it fly, if she thinks that's literally going to get air when this is all said and done, like in 2021, but like, oh yeah, that coronavirus fucked us on our gun laws. It's like, no, 2021 be like, yeah, that coronavirus thing is what started the political assassinations. I mean, I'm not advocating or even predicting that, but at some point you have to be politically astute here to realize that if you were afraid of certain people doing certain things, a la will Bernie Sanders people riot if they don't make the country communist, and like if you're afraid of other certain people doing certain things, don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
Just because you think you can get away with it now because the rules are different, just don't be surprised when the bear gets up and like
but you have
around.
to remember, if you go back in history, when the Hughes Amendment passed, the NRA told Reagan, "Oh, just go ahead and sign it. We'll get it beat. We'll fight it. It's for the rest of the amendment to go through and all the other stuff." Reagan went ahead and signed it, and it has never been repealed.
Well, actually, that is incorrect history. And the Hughes Amendment was added in there. The dude from New Jersey, who was Hughes, Reagan had been shot with a .22 caliber semi-automatic handgun, and maybe it was a 25. I think it was a 22. And they put this gun control because we have to pass some gun control, and the NRA was not run by the NRA. Didn't care about your AR-15. The NRA didn't care about your machine guns. They didn't. They literally. The few people in the NRA that had machine guns, they were FUDs or had money, and they had theirs, and they didn't care. It's a different world today. People today are. You want to talk about political assassinations. Like Wayne LaPierre right now probably has more security than probably than probably Bernie Sanders had. There are gun people that would like they would like to skin Wayne LaPierre alive.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the NRA is not popular. Like this idea that like, oh, the NRA is going to do this. Right now, Eric Pratt or Eric Platt from the Gun Owners of America? They're the ones with the power. They're the ones that are up and coming with the trend lines.
Yeah.
They don't have as much money or as much support as the NRA, but if you extrapolate their growth rate out over the next 5 years, the NRA's in huge fucking trouble. And the NRA gave us the fucking Hughes Amendment. They supported it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, they
did.
Fuck, that's a bullshit story that people like to. Oh, like the NRA didn't give two shits about fucking your AR fucking 15.
Nope. No,
it was all run. Seriously.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it was. I mean, you know, and it was. The NRA is the reason the '68 Gun Control Act's in enforcement today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the NRA supported almost every gun control measure.
Really?
Aware of
I'm being educated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, the NRA, that like this idea that like if you get promo materials from the NRA today, like talking about like, you know, modern sporting rifles and all of these arguments that you see about you have to have weapons, you know, to defend yourself from the government equal to an infantryman and all this other kind of stuff. That is not the same argument that was made by the FUDs at the NRA, 25, 30 years ago.
40
years,
and here's the
50
thing. Years ago.
Most of the people that are on the board members of the NRA, which is bullshit, because here's another thing. Like, you know, like most companies today, like P&G, or I don't know, I don't know P&G, but like a General Electric or whatever, there'll be a CEO and a CFO, a C-suite people. Then there's a board that they have to kind of that they're accountable to. And typically boards are, I don't know, they can be 5 people, 8 people, 10 people. The NRA's board has like 75 people on it. And the reason the board has 75 people on it is because it's so watered down. It means that Wayne LaPierre is not accountable to anybody. When you have a board with 75 people on it, you don't have a board. What you have is a fucking dog and pony show. So Wayne LaPierre can do whatever the fuck he wants. And most of the people that are on that board are FUDs that don't care about your fucking
rights. Man, all you got to do is, if you're a life member of the NRA, which I don't know if you are, Danny, but Marky and myself are life or above. But I mean, the thing is, every year when you get the magazine with the voting for the boards, it's like reading a freaking dictionary. And if you go through all these names of the people and read their backgrounds, it's just like, Jesus Christ. It's a joke.
What I find amazing for myself is, since joining this pod, finding out how much guns and politics are actually intertwined. It's amazing to me.
Guns seriously affected Bill Clinton's presidency.
Oh, big time.
And here's the other thing. Everybody likes to blame Bill Clinton for a lot of these gun laws. There's a lot of them that Bill Clinton gets hung with that really belong on George Herbert
I was just going to say, a lot of the shit that Clinton gets hung with was from Bush. Bush 1 turned in his NRA membership while he was president. Do you remember that, Marky?
I do, because of the jackbooted thugs comment that the NRA made about the Waco
mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Well,
no, Waco was during Clinton.
Waco was during Clinton.
Waco was Janet Reno. What the hell was it? Somebody at the NRA made a comment about jackbooted.
Was that Ruby
about
Ridge?
The ATF?
Was that Ruby Ridge?
You know what? It may have been.
It might have been Ruby Ridge. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I think it was Ruby Ridge, because Ruby Ridge was before Waco, I believe.
Well, hold on. Now, here's the other thing. So George W. Bush, okay, when the assault weapons ban was going to expire in 2004 and needed to be renewed, George W. Bush, Bushy here, W, like everybody, like the Republican that we're all supposed to love, not Trump, said He said, if the Congress renews the assault weapons ban, I will sign it.
Yes, he did. Yes.
I mean, in all respect to George W. Bush, and there's good and bad there, and he seems like a perfectly decent man. But on this subject, I'd look him square in the eye and be like, "Fuck."
Exactly.
And this is the kind of thing that Republicans and Democrats use because they keep their members stupid.
Well, look,
Republicans and the NRA keeps their members stupid on this kind of shit.
And this is why a guy like me, when Jeb Bush was running for president, it's like, you know what? I've had 2 Bushes as president that it's like, you know what? I don't need another one. It's just like, go the fuck away.
Bush. We did the well. Why is it the Democrat senators and congressmen are the first to chastise the NRA and their lobbying efforts against them?
Because they're easy. Because why do members of the Republican Party chastise Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Maxine Waters? Because it's called nut picking.
It's an easy target.
It's an easy target, so you can wave a red cape in front of the bull on your side to get them to charge. But to go back to the Hughes Amendment, then we're going to have to shut this one down soon. The Hughes Amendment was passed in '86. We didn't have the media like we do today. We didn't have the political activity for guns like we did today, organization, because the internet. Most people, when the Hughes Amendment was passed, and I remember I was a young man. I wasn't old enough to own guns, and but most people didn't even know. They were like, you can own machine guns? They were like, well, I can't get any more machine guns. I remember seeing that pass and being like, wait a minute, I wanted to buy a machine gun. Like most people, this came out of the blue and it was, oh, yeah, we got to ban machine guns. The same argument that you see people today, like Joe Biden says, he's talking to that dude, the union member, about banning an AR-15, and he's interchangeably using the word machine gun. He thinks it's the same fucking thing. Most people, when the Hughes Amendment passed, didn't really know what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
They didn't. They were like, oh, bad. This is bad. Okay. Yeah, this is bad. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. We shouldn't let people have it.
But also bear in mind, when the Hughes Amendment was passed, there was no internet, at least not to the general public. You couldn't log on. There was no Windows. Windows didn't exist back in 1986. There was no internet. Man, a lot of people were stupid,
misinformed,
because I mean, there was no easy access to this information. Because again, how many people today under the age of 40 do not even recall the time of pre-internet? I mean, actually, that was the time when the advent of the internet was the death knell of gun shows.
Yeah, you know what? You're correct. The advent of the internet, seriously, the bigger gun shows have survived, but like the trend lines are going down.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you what, we can't, because this is going to actually log us off before we go too much longer.
Okay.
So normally I do a police blotter at the end, but I'm old and I'm confused and I don't know what the hell's going on. And I think this is a police blotter story, but everybody's talking about something called Tiger King.
Oh my!
I don't even know what that means.
Oh my God!
Did
I
somebody
can honestly say I don't know what it is.
Did somebody murder somebody and feed their body to a tiger? I don't
potentially killed her husband and fed the body to a tiger. That's not been proven yet.
The only way that becomes any more white trash is if she killed him with a samurai sword and a tree.
And she might have, because she is white trash.
Okay. So that wraps up episode 170 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see the stories, pictures, and links of anything we discussed, please go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
You guys did real good. Thank you.
Good. Now my Commodore 360 and my dial-up is overheating. I can shut it down.
That's awesome.
It's smoking.